Hi everybody, welcome back to Mando Lessons. Today we're going to be working on right hand technique for playing reels or tunes in 4/4. For reels there's one way you want to be moving your pick hand, and for jigs, which are in 6/8, there's another pattern. But today we're looking at reels. So the way to start is to remember down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, etc. So a great exercise for your right hand is to just pick a string. Let's use the open G string and just start by going down, up, down, up, down, up, and really get that to feel comfortable. You really can't overdo this exercise. Make sure your right hand's nice and loose. And you get a nice steady sound out of the instrument. So once that feels good and comfortable, the next part of getting this pattern under your fingers is to get your left hand moving. So, if we're staying on that G string, for example, we've got that right hand going down, up, down, up, down, up, and then let's add the first couple notes of a G scale. So that's down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So those would be, if we're thinking about those notes as eighth notes, all eighth notes, if there's just a steady string of note, 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 it's going to be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the only time that pattern ever changes is if there's a pause, or a note that's longer, whether it's a rest and there's no music, or you have, say, a quarter note. So if we play this scale, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and maybe let's turn that into a pattern that repeats. So we get down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So as you see, when we hit that open G again, it's held out for twice as long. So if we're thinking of these as eighth notes, then you get quarter note, eighth, 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 quarter, eighth, 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 quarter, etc. And now with my right hand, I'm kind of overdoing it. You don't really need to be swinging around as much as I am. I'm just making it nice and clear for the video, that what direction my pick's going at any given time. So that pause, because it's that longer held out note, that open G, is a quarter note, or you could pause it so it could be one, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's the same amount of pause, just one we're hitting that note and then pausing it, so it's an eighth note. Eighth, 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 pause. Eighth, 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 etc. Or eighth, 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 quarter, eighth, 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 etc. But either way, when we start back up, our pick's going on a down. It starts right back up on a downstroke. So it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. We're not doing this. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's very, to me at this point, it feels very unnatural. And it starts to interfere with sort of the feel of a fiddle tune as you're playing, or any music really, because a lot of times you're going to have this kind of swing going. So rather than, we're playing kind of like a metronome at the moment, very, very measured. But as you get tunes going, if you have this down, you kind of have downstrokes are a little by just because we're kind of working with gravity on a downstroke and against gravity on an upstroke. We kind of our downstrokes tend to be a little more heavy-handed than our upstrokes, so we kind of get down, up, down, up, down, up, down, which it's sort of two ways you can purposefully kind of go with that and get that kind of strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Or you can, it's also good to practice trying to get your upstrokes to be just as strong, to get da 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 da, very kind of even. But once you start getting into tunes, I'll play an example. If I'm playing a tune fairly metronomically, if that's a word, it kind of ends up sounding like this. Just a big string of eighth notes. So those are all eighth notes. It's all just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, etc., etc. But if I sort of use that strong, weak, strong, it gives a little more lift, a little more life to the tune. We get versus and kind of, it gives it a little more lift, kind of wants your feet to get moving a little more. So that's, and if our pick is backwards and we're hitting this kind of upstroke, starting off with an upstroke, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but it's very unnatural. Because those strong beats, ba ba da 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 ba da da da, it's very weird to have a strong on an upstroke, or it feels totally backwards, and it's much more natural to have those strong beats, those sort of emphasized beats on a downstroke. You're working with gravity. It's generally a more comfortable stroke. You want your upstrokes to be very versatile, so you can have them. Maybe sometimes it's nice to have a stronger upbeat as sort of a syncopated thing, but for the most part, you really want that downbeat to be your strong beat, strong beat, as sort of a general rule. So if we let's work on a G scale. So we've just got open G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Let's just do that, and so let's just play up and down it all, down, up, down, up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, 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 down, again, down, up, 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 down. That's a good practice for down and up. So now let's add some pauses in, so it's sort of breaking up our right hand movement. Let's go, just kind of making this up on the fly here, but let's do down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. So we have down, up, down, pause, down, up, down, sorry, down, up, down, again, down, up, down, 5, down, up, down, again, down, up, down. So that's putting that pause every 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause. It's putting that pause in, so if the tune were to go ba 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 da 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 da, if you turn those longer notes into two shorter notes, you get those downs back. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, or down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. It's sort of the same melody, just the longer notes are getting turned into shorter notes when your hand's always moving. So that's the general rule. Now if you have if you have there's sometimes when you're playing a tune and you're going to start on an upbeat, so it may be, let's see, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down. Because of the way, if we have an upbeat that's naturally an upbeat and it's held out for a whole note, let's do that again. So we have a long beat on that C, which will be an upstroke. So slowly it's down, up, pause, up, down, down. Sorry. So that's an upbeat on the C, held out for a quarter note, if we're thinking of short notes as eighth notes. And then it's immediately an up on the D string, the open D string. And then back to down, up, down, 2, 4, 5. And this just sort of keeps your right hand. It might feel a little unnatural at first, but once you sort of get your right hand to feel like this kind of unstoppable motor, it's really kind of the best way to go about things, to not get your hand all tongue-tied, I guess. So let's do that a couple times, starting on the open G. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, again. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, again. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down. One more time. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down. So if you watch my hand, it's kind of always going down and up a little bit, even when I'm not playing the string. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down. And that allows your right hand, rather than to be thinking about every little pick stroke that you're doing, it gives your hand a pattern to use, so that when you start playing tunes with this pattern, it doesn't really matter what the tune is. You can sort of see my right hand is kind of, even though the melody's going, my hand's kind of always going down, up, 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 for the melody. And it really gives your right, it's a way to sort of get your right hand into a fail-proof pattern that keeps all your strong beats where they should be, all your weak beats on the upstrokes. And once you get comfortable with this, then you can start throwing in some nice kind of strong upbeats as a variation to add a little hop to your tune. I'll play an example of that maybe. Like right there. Again. So as an example, I won't jump into how to play this tune in this lesson, but for that example, I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, etc. So that's where we have those two ups in a row, because I'm making an upstroke, a note that's on an upstroke, a double length note, whereas the melody really goes. It's just like down, up, down, up, down, up. But by making one of those upstrokes a quarter note instead of an eighth note, we get down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, 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 etc. It's kind of hard to do all at once. But that's the general rule, is you want to have your right hand kind of have this down, up feel all the time. And then adjusting if you have, when there's a pause that's a longer, either a rest or a longer note than your standard eighth note, that's when you might start hitting down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, or down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, da, 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 da. Whatever it may be, your longer notes are going to, your right hand is essentially going to keep going, and when the next note comes, your right hand is still going to be in that pattern. So your next note may be a downstroke, it may be an upstroke. And that gives you the basic rule of kind of stronger beats on down, weaker beats on up. And once your hand kind of can do that subconsciously, then it gives you the option to stress some up beats in a really nice way and get some syncopation going on. So that's all for now. Try it out on a tune you know really well. If there's a tune that you're really comfortable with, but you feel like your right hand is sometimes a little bit lost, just kind of slow it down really far. So maybe it's Whiskey Before Breakfast or something. There's a video for that at mandolessons.com if this tune interests you. And I'll play it and just sort of watch my right hand mostly. I'll even just zoom in a little here. So... So you see those longer beats kind of get, there's a lot of down, down, rather than down, up, down, down, up, down. It's down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So get used to this. Start putting this into your playing with tunes you know really well. Eventually, it'll just turn into something very natural. You won't even have to think about what direction your right hand should be going. It just works out. It's a really good feeling when you get it under your fingers. Next, there will be a lesson on jig picking. It's kind of it's not totally different, but there's a different pattern, and that's used for tunes in 6/8. So if your tune sounds like, etc., that's a different pattern. So if you can go jiggity, 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 jiggity to a tune, it's a jig, it's in 6/8, and that's a different lesson. That's a different picking pattern, and I'll get into that in a different lesson. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.